Okay, so in this explainer, we're going to break down what the latest reports from the UN, the World Bank, and the Committee to Protect Journalists are telling us. We're going to use their data to piece together a clear, factual portrait of the crisis in Gaza.
And we have to start right here, with this stark warning from the Committee to Protect Journalists. It frames the danger to journalists not just as a tragedy, but as a direct attack on our collective ability to see and understand the truth on the ground.
Because to even begin to grasp the full story of Gaza, you first have to look at the immense and way too often fatal risks that are being taken by the people trying to tell that story. 192. As of mid-2024, that's the number of journalists and media workers killed according to the Committee to Protect Journalists. It's a number that just hangs in the air, underscoring the extreme danger of simply doing your job in this conflict. So let's look at how this is happening. The Committee to Protect Journalists reports that the vast majority of these deaths came from Israeli airstrikes. The second biggest cause? Drone strikes. Now, the CPJ went even further, investigating these cases and classifying at least 26 of them as potential targeted murders. And beyond the killings, their reports document widespread assaults, arrests, threats, and even the killing of journalist family members. For its part, the Israeli military has stated that it does not deliberately target journalists.
So what is the story that these journalists were risking absolutely everything to tell? Well, it's a story of destruction on a scale that's hard to comprehend. So let's zoom out and try to see that scale.
The numbers that come from UN reports are, well, they're staggering. We're talking about a population of 2.3 million people, and nearly 100% of them have been displaced from their homes. More than 75,000 people are reported either killed or missing. And as this chart shows, the entire population is facing severe food shortages, with about a fifth of them, that's hundreds of thousands of people, at the most extreme level, catastrophic food insecurity. To try to put the physical damage into perspective, researchers have made this really stark historical comparison. Their analysis suggests that the sheer scale, and especially the pace, of destruction in Gaza has actually surpassed the combined Allied bombing of cities like Dresden and Hamburg during all of World War II. Just let that sink in for a moment.
You know, the level of destruction is so systematic that international legal experts have started using a specific term for it: domicide. It's literally the mass destruction of homes and dwellings, done in a way that makes an entire territory uninhabitable.
And what does all that destruction leave behind? According to the UN, it leaves an estimated 42 million tons of rubble. They projected it could take 80 years, not to rebuild, but just to clear the rubble so that rebuilding could even begin.
But beyond the visible wreckage of buildings, there's the collapse of the very systems that keep a society alive. We're talking about its economy, its healthcare, its entire infrastructure. A World Bank report details a complete economic freefall. You can just see it in the chart here for the first half of 2024. Gaza's GDP, it didn't just shrink, it collapsed by 86%. And you can see the ripple effects. The West Bank's economy also took a huge hit, down 23%, leading to an overall drop of 34% for the entire Palestinian economy. The report called that contraction unmatched in recent memory. So what does that economic collapse actually mean for people trying to survive day to day? Well, it means hyperinflation. The same World Bank report documented these absolutely staggering price increases. I mean, look at this. The price of tomatoes went up 2,400%. A 25-kilo bag of flour, a basic staple, is over 2,000% more expensive. It makes survival itself almost unaffordable. Then there's the healthcare system. It was already strained before the war, but what sources document is a systematic breakdown. This timeline shows how it happened. After the initial blockade cut off supplies, major hospitals became targets. Al-Shifa, which was Gaza's largest, was raided in late 2023 and then again in March 2024. By April, when troops withdrew, it, along with other major hospitals, was left in ruins, completely non-operational. The World Health Organization actually uses a specific term to describe this kind of situation. It's called structural violence, and it's the idea that the collapse of essential systems, healthcare, sanitation, access to food and water, creates a crisis that is just as deadly, if not more so, than the direct violence of the conflict itself. So, when you put all of this together, the mass casualties, the unprecedented destruction, and this total systemic collapse, it has led to the most serious of all accusations being leveled on the world stage. And this has fundamentally shifted how the conflict is being talked about internationally. It's moved beyond political debates and into the realm of formal charges of genocide, brought by nations and human rights groups to the world's highest courts.
And the list of those making this formal accusation is pretty significant. It's being led by countries like South Africa, which filed the case at the International Court of Justice and was later joined by Brazil. But what's really critical to note here is that the accusers also include prominent Israeli human rights organizations like B'Tselem and Physicians for Human Rights Israel, right alongside a growing number of genocide scholars and research agencies.
And this brings us to the final, really haunting question that just hangs over all of the data we've looked at. After a catastrophe this total, where an entire society has been so systematically dismantled, what can the day after possibly look like? The reports give us the data, but they leave us all with that profound and so far completely unanswered question.